Well, welcome to everybody, and thank you again for joining the Success Perspectives, a podcast with thought leaders and disruptors in the tech industry, covering topics on all things customer success. We have some really interesting shows in store, and this week is no exception. Joining me today is Simon Short, leading customer excellence at ServiceNow, a company synonymous with innovation and growth. Simon is also a former executive at Salesforce, where I had the pleasure of working very closely with him, a COO at a company called Advanced, and was also a naval officer in the Royal Navy. Simon is nothing short of an incredible leader who I've had the pleasure of working with and who has left an incredible impact wherever he has been. So in this episode, we're going to explore how organizations should tackle the classic pyramid of customers, from strategic high-touch accounts to the vast long tail, which many companies have, by leveraging data, AI, scalable one-to-many programs. So Simon's going to share his insights on how to meet customers where they are, accelerate onboarding, and ensure value delivery through focused product usage. So Simon, it's great to have you on the show. Thank you for taking the time.
It's great to be here, and thank you for the invite, and it's good to be connected with you again.
Yeah, absolutely. So I mentioned about your incredible career. Can you kind of just give us like a quick synopsis of everything you've kind of gone through? I mean, from the Royal Navy through to some pretty amazing tech companies. I think listeners would be really interested to hear kind of how you ended up here.
Yeah, so I think you covered quite a bit of it, but yeah, I joined the Royal Navy straight out of school. Engineering officer. I was there for 15 years looking after weapon systems, communication systems, computer systems, so effectively all the technical side of the ship to keep it running and operational. I left in 2000 and went into Vodafone. It was a real ambition of mine, as I was kind of like leaving the Navy, is where do you go? Is like telco and mobile was such a big thing back in sort of 98, 99, 2000. I was lucky enough to land myself a job there where I was a project and program manager for kind of big programs. It's funny to think I was the project manager for picture messaging. The world's first ever picture message was sent off the back of my project, which is strange when you look back on it. I was also program manager for the 3G launch in the UK. So big programs, and then running the capital budget for Vodafone. I was there for 7 years. Went to Capgemini as CTO of the UK for 5 years, and then another 3 years where I set up and ran digital as a global service line, which is kind of really my sort of foray into the beginnings of SaaS, the beginnings of the kind of whole digital revolution, front office rather than back office IT, and building relationships with companies like Salesforce to build capability in Capgemini. Which created my connection where they then approached me to say, do you want to come and run customer success in EMEA? Which I did in 2016. Did EMEA for 3 years and then global customer success for 2 years. And from there, I then went to be chief operating officer of a much smaller organization, 300 million a year IT services business in the UK called One Advanced. And from there came here to run customer excellence in ServiceNow. So it's kind of like very different chapters of career, but yeah, all been incredible learning journeys.
So, I mean, it is incredible when you think about all those things you've touched on the way and these incredible technological pivots that have occurred. I mean, you mentioned about picture messaging.
Yes.
I can only imagine the billions that get sent probably every hour now. And at the time, that was such a revolutionary technology, much like AI is now. So, and it's interesting as well because you and I actually oddly have I wouldn't say the same background, but a very similar one. I was also on the naval side, on the procurement executive in the UK. I was also at Capgemini, I believe, at the same time, but we never crossed paths. And then obviously we were at Salesforce together. So again, you've had an incredible career, and I'm grateful to have touched that along the way as well. So. Awesome. So you're obviously at ServiceNow, and you've seen and had all these great experiences. And can you explain a bit about maybe what ServiceNow is for the listeners that don't know? Although I'd be surprised if anyone didn't. But then, secondly, just a bit about your role in that incredible organization.
So certainly, I've now been here 7 months. I think this is an amazing organization. It's another really high growth technology organization that really is in the sweet spot of the revolution that's going on at the moment with AI. It's a business that kind of founded itself on workflow. So started with ITSM, classic service desk type capability. But through that platform that was built around building a workflow for ITSM, extending out that capability on a single platform to be able to do many different workflows. So whether that's IT operations, whether that's asset management, moving into HR, moving into procurement, legal. So anything across a business that's effectively a workflow, which is what most of us do every day, right? We all do a workflow. Like I take this, we do something with it, we move it on to somebody else. All the workflows across a business on a single platform, which is a unique part of ServiceNow. That when we don't have separate apps across everything that we do, it's all built on the same platform. Which when you take us to where we are now, which is having the single platform for business on which you can do AI across the business, not in pockets of we have AI for this application and AI for this application, but being the AI control tower for business transformation across an entire business puts us in a really unique place to be able to help businesses genuinely transform, to bring together all their different data sources into one effective workflow across an organization and be able to tackle everything through agentic capability. And it is genuinely exciting to be here because you can see this huge opportunity from where the technologies come from to where we are today to what businesses actually need in the transformation is incredible.
Yeah, it's amazing the kind of evolution and growth. And I think as you described, I think ServiceNow built an incredible platform, which is now going to benefit from all of these amazing advances in technology, which we're all seeing and experiencing. So again, lots of really positive impact that you can drive in, and your role there. So can you explain a bit about kind of your purpose at ServiceNow and how you?
Yeah, so I run the customer excellence group, which is, you can describe it as effectively accountable for the customer post sale. So once you've become a customer of ServiceNow, how do you get value from what it is you've bought? How do you make sure that all of that is implemented and rolled out to meet a business case that you actually had in the first place? But then how do you set yourself up for growth? Because with this platform, you can add capability to it all the time. So whatever you started with, whether you started with HR, whether you started with ITSM, whatever it is you started with, we are the engine room for growth in our company and growth with our customers by making that first journey successful and then helping customers continue to grow. So under customer excellence, I have customer success. So the classic help our customers, guide our customers, take our customers through the journey, make sure they're being looked after at every stage in the process. Customer expert services, which is effectively you want to buy professional services, you want to buy implementation, you want to buy capability, you want an AI engine room, you want centers of excellence built in your organization. We have expert services. We also have an incredible partner ecosystem. So if you kind of put my bit in the partner ecosystem, we're probably about 5% of the capacity around the world through an amazing ecosystem, from the very big partners of the classic, Accenture, Deloitte, Capgemini's, DXC, etc., all the way through to many, many niche partners who focused on very particular areas of capability or industries or whatever it might be. So we work very much in hand through our expert services with the partner network. And then I own renewals. So how do you take people through that renewal cycle? Very important for any SaaS business. Of like, what did you buy? Where do you get to in renewal? If we've taken you on a fantastic journey, how do we set you up for growth in the future and bring the sales team back in to make sure that we're positioning that growth as part of the process?
Yeah, that's a very broad remit. I'm sure many of the listeners will be familiar with many of those terms. When you think about kind of how it compares maybe to Salesforce, how if if any way, is ServiceNow specifically different? I mean, what I heard you say is some interesting things there. Clearly, you've got a platform that can drive transformation, and your job is not only to help customers get that initial project out of the way, but also to continually evolve and transform. How is that different to maybe someone like a Salesforce or another company in that space?
So I think for me, the biggest difference is that really our product is a lot more in the heart of the business. You really are
Mhm.
an enterprise platform on which other things are built and delivered and capabilities. And because of that, there's a lot more, I would say, kind of engineering to be able to get the true value out of what you're doing. Is like, where's the business's data sources? What are the other applications that they're using? How do you bring all this together in a workflow that works seamlessly across the business? Whereas Salesforce was individual applications, so CRM, marketing, commerce cloud, that you could effectively have set up and run
Mm.
pretty quickly. Ours is more of an implementation through a journey. We tend to have slightly longer contracts because of it, which is also fantastic because you build a relationship with a customer on
Yeah.
a continuum that isn't trying to then do an annual renewal. But you're building that capability and relationship and building the growth points through the journey with the customer to make sure that they've got the value that they need as they go through. So I'd say there's a lot more focus on like, how do you actually get this implemented and built into your organization? How do you get the data sources integrated into what you're doing to be able to run workflows efficiently and effectively in your organization? And then there's obviously a lot of similarities, right? Which is for any technology, when you think about kind of people, process, technology, like technology is only one component. The
Yeah.
business, the customer, has also got to think about people and process, which is what are we going to train? What are we going to change? What processes are going to change? If you want to use our out of the box capabilities, that probably means a different process to the one you're using today. How do we actually help you with the transformation? And that, I think, is always the same with any technology. Is the technology is not the silver bullet. It's how do you use it and how do you actually get value out of it, that you've got to help a customer through that transformation.
Yeah, that transformation piece seems key. And again, as I said, I think everything's going a lot quicker than ever now. So, making customers ready for that change and transformation, clearly an important part of your team. And so, how do you measure? I mean, you're probably going to tell me renewal rate as part of this, but how do you measure success in that environment when you're trying to run so many threads of engagement with customers around these various projects and helping them evolve? How do you see success?
Well, I think there's you can kind of split this into sort of leading indicators and then your main measures, your sort of lagging indicators. Your kind of leading indicators are, we focus on time to value. So you've bought, how
Mhm.
quickly can we get you up and running so that you're actually deploying, you've got your
Yeah.
licenses in use, et cetera, et cetera. We're looking at kind of deployed features. So with any
Mm.
one of our products, it comes like if you buy Microsoft Excel, right? How many of us use any of the features really in
Yeah.
Microsoft Excel?
Yeah.
Our product's no different in that it has many features. It's like, how do we make sure we deploy all the features? So you're not just saying, I've got ITSM working, but actually you're saying, I'm using all of the capabilities, because that's really
Yeah.
what unlocks value. And then we look at NPS. So we measure NPS regularly with all customers all the time, and use that as, again, one of our biggest indicators of success with customers. On a more micro basis, we measure CSAT on every engagement.
Mm.
So just
Yeah.
direct feedback on how did this go? What's your score for us? So we're measuring
Nice.
all the time. So they're the kind of like through the life cycle leading indicators. And then, as you said, your main indicators are renewal rate. So, of the base, how much did you renew? So GRR, gross revenue retention. But I also always believe that the biggest value of customer success effectively is you should almost take GRR, your revenue retention, as a
Mm.
baseline. That's a core component of what you're trying to do. It's actually the
Yeah.
NRR, it's the net revenue retention, which is a measure of growth, that is actually
Yeah.
really the most important thing. that if you've actually taken customers through a life cycle and they're happy and they're really
Totally.
getting value, and with a toolbox like ours, with so many capabilities you can add to the same platform, we have to drive the growth. So kind of the message to my team is always that the real indicator of success is the growth of revenue through the cycle and at renewal.
Yeah, totally makes sense. I mean, we're going to come on to how you scale, because obviously ServiceNow has a lot of customers, as you mentioned, large customers, large enterprises, as well as that very long tail. How is the org how many people do you have in the org? How is that distributed? You gave some different roles earlier, but is that mainly CS and you have a few of these more transformational people? Is it a lot of onboarding? How is that team structured at this moment?
So, if you think about this through the classic pyramid, right, we have very big customers at the top of the pyramid, and more of those as time goes on, as we continue to build out more scale and more capability with our customers. So very big enterprise customers at the top of the pyramid. We then have kind of your middle of the pyramid, where you've got a lot of enterprise customers, probably more early on the journey, not buying as much of the product set, but really important for the future in terms of how do you get to where you want to get to. And then we have the classic long tail bottom of the pyramid. So, and you can kind of look like half of our customers, you can probably say a sort of bottom of the pyramid, which is smaller customers, commercial, mid-market. Some will grow into the bigger scale. Some will actually just be very happy with what they've got and stay where they are, and are a really key component of revenue retention, of making sure that you service them. So what we segment our customers both through the pyramid and also where they are on the life cycle. So when you think about the life cycle, you really, really strongly focus on onboarding. And I think it's the most important, that by way and above anything else, the single most important moment is the first 3 months of, like, you've just bought, what service do you get in the first 3 months? How do we get you up and running? How do we make sure that your business is bought into what we're trying to do? How do we train the people to be able to use it and get value from it? How do we help you build a center of excellence so that you can use this capability around your business? And the sooner you get people on that journey, the more likely it is that you're going to have a life cycle that's really valuable, and you're going to have much more success later on. The more you do there, the less you have to do later on with any customer. We segment in the life cycle bit in kind of 4 ways. One is onboarding, which is kind of early in the journey, and how do we focus on it. The second is the kind of mature in life, just making sure that actually it continues to operate and we're responding and we're maintaining the connection. The third is customers who actually have a challenge or a problem, the kind of classic red account type process of we haven't actually got to where we want to get to, the business has changed, course of direction has changed, stakeholders changed, whatever it might be, is like, we need to refocus back here on doing something with this customer. And then we have growth, which is, this customer is really ready for the next stage. Like, how do we set them up for the next stage? How do we get the proposition to them that's ready to go? So in all of that kind of top of the pyramid, middle of the pyramid, bottom of the pyramid, we're also then thinking about these 4 life cycle stages.
There's different dimensions, as well. So it's multi-dimensional. It's not just that pyramid, it's a 3-dimensional pyramid.
And then obviously then it comes with different skill sets. So if you start from the bottom of the pyramid up, is we're recruiting a lot of graduates into success centers. So we're building success centers around the world, where graduates come in, technology background. When you think about, like, what's their background, is they've done AI at university, right? They're so ingrained in this already. It's like, here's our tools, off you go. Go innovate, go play with this to see what you can do for customers. So that kind of bottom of the pyramid, and a lot of our onboarding done by early in career technology capable individuals who will in the future become success managers and success executives or architects or whatever. And then as you move up the pyramid, we're more based in the customer's location. So customer success managers, platform architects, our expert services teams, like how do we work with the customer where the customer is, how do we meet them where they are on the journey. This kind of raises a whole very interesting kind of post-COVID world of some customers still want to everything remote. Some customers actually are back to, we have everybody in a war room and we want you in the war room. So we need to be, you need to meet the customers where they are in terms of their working style and pattern. And so that middle of the pyramid is very much about meeting customers where they are, with a ratio of customers depending upon scale and where they are on the 4-box segmentation. And then at the top of the pyramid is absolutely dedicated teams. So selling into the customer, the capacity and capability of a customer success exec, a platform architect, a success manager, a support account manager that's dedicated to those customers 100%, so that we're absolutely working with the biggest customers in their organization with them to deliver the success they need.
Yeah, I love that. And in fact, one of the things that really resonated with what you just said there was obviously making sure, actually two things. First of all, making sure that you're meeting customers where they are in their life cycle, which I think is just so important. But the other thing, which is that stood out, was the fact that you're actually hiring grads. You're actually building out that talent pool, because so often nowadays you hear people are being displaced by AI. That doesn't necessarily seem the thing that, I mean, you're building talent to help customers make their businesses more efficient, which I just think is amazing.
Well, and I think, AI is going to play such a big role in that, but actually these are the people that are going to build the AI, that actually coming with that technology background out of university and other experience. And it's amazing when you get involved in grad recruitment now, is like, we're a place to be. Right? We get 10,000 applicants for every spot in that kind of category.
Sure.
It's phenomenal. You're picking people that haven't just passed a degree. You're picking people that have spent 3 years already working in a startup, have actually built things, have done things, have got AI, that have built robots at home that are doing things that I can't even imagine. But when you actually see what the ones that you're actually going to select have done, they're so, consumed by this world of automation, AI, agentic type capability, that they are critical to, like, we take our capability and go, we need to help our customers better tomorrow than we did yesterday. What can we do? They become actually the innovation hub for everything that we do.
Yeah. Amazing how the way that the technology, the AI technology, and we'll talk more about this in a moment, but how it's relatively low cost of entry means you've got all, as you say, these grads and these people building stuff at home and changing the world. I mean, literally all over the world simultaneously. It's just it's an incredible moment to be in the tech industry, perhaps a moment like no other. So super exciting. Just to go back before we jump into more AI, what are the types of programs and things do you have across each of those segments? I mean, did you have kind of user groups, online community? How do you kind of engage and build that sense of taking everybody on the journey? Do you have any suggestions or perspectives around that?
Well, I think to an extent, it's kind of a bit of all of that, right? Is communities are a really important part of, like, when you're a buyer or a user of ServiceNow, there's hundreds and thousands of other people like you around the world who are doing the same things and overcoming the same challenges and trying to work out what best practice is, and putting people together in communities, industry focused, location focused, size of company focused communities, where people can share, whether you're an admin, a platform owner, or a CIO buyer, communities of people like you that you actually get together and talk about what you do. We've got our big event of the year coming up, which is Knowledge 25, is in a couple of weeks' time in Las Vegas. Thousands of people coming because they want to be part of the community, because they're actually traveling in order to actually meet all the other people like them, and that you've built this community time. And if you think about just at admin or platform owner level, is they're all able to help solve each other's problems. Of like, well, how do I do this? Well, I did this 3 weeks ago, and here's something that I did. helping people be able to do that. So I think the community is a really important thing. I think kind of structured programs, so onboarding, we've talked about, but having that as a kind of structured, and we do that with community as well. So like everyone who bought, pick a product, anyone who bought ITSM in March joins the April onboarding team. And all the customers who bought in March all joined together, one-to-many webinars, all guided together. Welcome to the family. And we take you through week 1, week 2, month 1, month 2, and everyone goes through that journey together. So it's not, you don't have to try and deal with every single customer one-on-one, but you actually build this sense of.
Well, it's actually, it's got many benefits, of course. I mean, those people are going to help each other, of course, and also it keeps them accountable.
Yes.
To each other. It's like, how are you getting on? Well, I haven't done anything. No one wants to say that. So I love that idea. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So and you manage all of that through the ServiceNow platform, I assume, kind of orchestration of that. That's just incredible.
Yeah. And then we have many other kind of programs built around capabilities. We have our releases that come out every year with new capabilities. How do you educate the customer? Let's take everyone again on the journey together of how we educate you. AI is obviously the big new thing. So we've built this capability on top of all of our products. But then how do we help our customers get there? How do we help our customers build this capability in their organization? So taking through those kind of like user groups, communities, again, where you build that capability together with people, and also with our partners, like huge partner education programs on, like when you go to customers, we need you to be saying the same things and teaching them the same things and building it in the same way. Don't go off and customize when there's something that's already here. So all of those I would say are kind of structured programs around what we try to do.
There's so much hunger at this moment for learning. I think everyone I've spoken with, that seems to be the kind of resonating theme. That how do I learn more? How do I know about this? How do I get more information? And that's part of the reason why I'm running these Success Perspectives podcasts, is to get industry experts to kind of share their knowledge and experience, because I do think a bit like your customers, we're all learning together. Which actually makes it even more interesting. I mean, some of the things these AI agents are capable of doing are really things that we couldn't even have imagined and don't even always understand. And so how we can learn from each other, best practices and best impact and so on. I mean, all these pieces are important. So while we're on that subject then, sorry, you were going to say something?
I just want to say one of the key things that I think we've done as well is we've made effectively all of our platform technology core learning is free to use. So it kind of
sign up?
So that the whole idea being you can just build and one of the problems of any high growth company is your capabilities lead your capacity in the market, and it's like we want to make sure that anyone can learn this, right? So again going back to the grads, the number of grads that came to interview that said I've already got 10 of your certs because I've been online and done it. Right.
I love that. So anyone can sign up then? Is that possible? I can go there now and look at that. I will certainly check that out later. If anyone hasn't done that, then listening to this podcast, I suggest they go and have a look and sign up and learn, because again, it's about learning and learning and learning, and it's changing so quickly. So keeping up on top of that's important. So how does ServiceNow use AI to better serve its customers? Can you maybe give some examples there? Obviously, you've built this incredible org, it's doing some great things, but AI can really augment and further extend that that impact.
So I think the reality here is we're all at the beginning of this journey. So we're on a journey with everything that we're doing to genuinely be customer zero of our own technology that we're delivering to our customers for them to be able to use AI themselves. So we have a customer success platform built on ServiceNow. When you think about customer success, it's nothing other than a workflow. If a customer looks like this, do this for them. If they look like this, do this for them. If they've done it, move on to the next thing. What's the next best action for a customer? It's effectively a workflow. So it's ideally placed to be a great platform for customer success. And then when you think about what do you actually do as a success manager, an awful lot of what you do is very repetitive. that it is literally saying, right, based on this set of data, this customer needs this, I'm going to send it to them. I'm going to then check whether they've done anything with it or not. And if they haven't, I'm going to then phone them. Or so there's a set of steps that's kind of very repetitive in the way that you would actually work with a customer as a success resource. So we're effectively, what we're trying to do is build AI into all of those capabilities. Firstly, to help our staff is how do we automate building a QBR deck? Like I go around the team. I've been here 7 months. You go around and talk to people. It's like, how long does it take you to build a QBR deck? It's days of trying to get information from different places and put it together in the right way. Whereas actually, it's all the same data coming from all the same sources. It should be the press of a button that goes, "Do you want a QBR deck?" Yes, please. There it is.
Yeah, exactly.
You top and tail it to make it personal to the customer, but the core of it should be absolutely standard. So using AI for those kind of core capabilities that actually consume all the time of a success resource today, of where do you get the data from? And we're a hugely data-rich organization, like any SaaS platform, but we know what our customers are doing, we know what they're using, we know what things they're not using, how much they're consuming, where they are on their life cycle. You can spot patterns in the data from 3 months ago, it looked like this, now it looks like this, what's happened in the meantime. But all of those things take a huge amount of manual effort to get the data, to look at it, to analyze it. So we're building AI capability into all of those, kind of like spot the core process, spot the things that take time, build agentic type capability that's going to absolutely press of a button, get a QBR deck, present you with the analysis of what a customer's trends are and what things that means and what the next best action might be for a customer off the back of it, so that we free our people's time up to be able to go, actually, more of your time is now richly spent with the customer, talking to the customer, guiding the customer, than it is actually gathering data in the background. And I think all success resources worldwide would recognize that challenge, right? Of how much time do you spend doing work before you actually can talk to a customer?
It's really interesting. A lot of what you said resonates from my career as well in customer success, in the sense that, and I've done this on everywhere I've worked. You first do an audit of, like, how do you spend your time, and you can compartmentalize that now into things that are kind of more repetitive, as you say, kind of reading information, processing information, and then responding. And so much of that can be done by AI so well and so efficiently at scale, 24/7. And obviously, unlike a human, you don't get the issues around needing to continually train, because you can train once, and it obviously serves many. I think the other thing that really stands out to me is the opportunities you highlighted then, and maybe you can talk about this, about how you elevate those individuals, because clearly they've got more time on their hands. How are you thinking about moving the team into a different space or a different position on that pitch, to be more impactful with customers with skills that maybe AI can't serve up?
Well, and I think it really is, in a way, it's a very simple answer, but it's about spending more time with the customer to listen, to understand. When you think, a customer success manager in the middle of the pyramid has a ratio of customers. So if you've got a portfolio of, say, 20 customers, how much time are you actually spending today with each of those 20 customers?
Exactly.
If you're able to free up a lot more time where you're actually able to talk to those customers, listen to what they're doing, identify the opportunities, going back to we are the growth engine. You can only find those opportunities if you're in the customer's organization, listening to what their business challenges are, elevating it to a more business level conversation around what it is you actually could be doing next, what things can we bring you, how do we show you capabilities. So for me, it is about freeing up time to spend more rich time with customers, properly listening and engaging in the business at the right level, so that you can help customers be successful. That's ultimately what we're trying to do. And if your touch points are, an email once every 2 weeks, that might be helping a bit. If your touch points are a weekly phone call for half an hour, and then you're also talking to a few other stakeholders, and you're then having a quarterly business review in person, and you're spending more time with people, the opportunity to help is just so vastly increased.
Yeah, and the more time you spend, the more output and productivity you should actually have as a result with those clients, as you say. So you've described obviously the kind of more classic AI assistant. So really augmenting the CSM or the services team or whoever to be more productive. How are you seeing AI used, or are you thinking about using AI with customers, like in a customer facing, so they maybe don't always need to speak with? And then furthermore, what I read a lot about, and there's some interesting companies doing this, um, proactive AI, where it will actually start doing things ahead of time before even the customer requests. How do you see maybe kind of that evolving? And are you doing any or looking at any of that now?
I think it really is, in a way, kind of it's like the most exciting part of this. So we've built, it's called the Impact Digital Experience. The IDE is a product that again sits on our platform, and it sits with the customer, and it sits in
Nice.
their environment. And if you're a platform owner, your daily, that's the first place that you're going. You're looking at rich information about what am I using, what am I consuming, what's the recommended next best action for me to do, what else could I be doing, is all in their environment, so that we're trying to put as
That's
much
great.
as possible in their space without having to talk to them, without having to go to them
Mm,
on routine things that you need to know to be able to drive more value in what it is that you're actually doing. The reason I kind of describe that is this becomes the real opportunity for taking the agentic type capability, the real automation of
mm,
describe what we could do for a customer success manager to make their life easier. Well,
yeah.
actually, you take that and turn it into a workflow, which automatically goes to the customer. It appears in their IDE, and is
Yes.
effectively then saying to them, "Do you want to do this? If so, click here." This
Yeah.
automatically happens in their environment, and then it comes back to the success resource in their dashboard that says "done." And the
Yeah.
success manager goes, "Well, I didn't even do anything." But
Yeah.
actually, based on a set of data, based on a set of triggers, we're actually triggering action and event with the customer automatically in their environment for them
Mm,
to do, whether they have to intervene and press a button, or whether actually some things you might be able to do completely automatically
yeah.
for them. And that's where the real benefit of this is going to come. So this is kind of like, how do you then take what you automate with AI for a success manager and turn it into agentic capabilities, agentic workflow that goes right out to the customer, takes action, comes back, done, next thing, what do we need to do next?
Yeah, that's incredible. I've seen examples, never really live, to be honest, of maybe the extent of that, where it can actually also configure for clients, and also situations where it can even recommend products, the upsell. I see this is
Yes.
your problem. I would recommend you do this, or would you like to speak to somebody to do this? And of course, that obviously is probably the holy grail. But yeah, just a super fascinating time. And how are you managing change? Because again, through all of this, obviously your team are grappling with new technologies, talking to customers, and no doubt to my earlier comment, everybody seems like AI is coming for my job. Is that something? How do you manage that within ServiceNow?
Well, I think the reality, right, is I'm in the anti-AI camp of actually there's an awful lot of hype, right? The AI
Yeah.
is coming to take everybody's job. I think maybe in 5 to 10 years' time, there's less of some jobs and more of other things, and it's going to take a long time to get there. The reality, I think, today, the benefit of AI today is this takes the mundane away. This takes
Mm,
the drudgery of finding data, writing a PowerPoint, creating an information, creating an email, creating stuff that actually allows your job to be richer than it is today, because you're actually out talking to customers with the stuff that you've just been armed with by automation that gets you to where you need to be. I think the world is human. Like, our customers are
yeah.
human. they're buyers, they're people who are implementing, they're people who've got business challenges. They want a conversation with a human about, what do I do next? How do you help me? I want to escalate. I've got a problem, whatever it might be. That sure, they want some automation of, if I can just get an answer to this really quickly. But at the end of the day, most of our relationship with people who are spending money with us as a vendor, like any other vendor, it's a business relationship that we have to hold, and that's a human relationship. And the more you can free up people's time to have that versus trying to write a PowerPoint deck, the better.
I love that. It's the most inspirational thing I've heard in a while. So, and you've seen quite a few things and pivots in your career. So, for you to be so positive on this outcome, then I think it's important. Cool. And so, as we're coming to the end of the podcast, what are the one or two things, if people are out there thinking about how do I apply AI? How should I structure organizations to support my customers better? And again, I speak to lots of different companies, and I'm just amazed that there's lots of questions still out there. So, what are the two or three bits of advice you would give an organization really thinking of it as being of any size to think about when it comes to customer success in this new paradigm we're going into?
I think a few things. One would be, think about the customer journey as a continuum, right? Pre-sales, sales, post-sales, growth. I think one of the most important things, completely not connected to technology, is align your organizations to be 100% aligned internally. It's like I've reorganized my entire team to be 100% sales aligned. So every major area, every area of sales, we have a customer excellence team that is just focused on them, because the continuum for a customer is not, I've done this, now I'm over here with this team, and then I'm over here with this team. Is like, it's people work together. So account exec, success resource work together with the customer to make sure that we're not disconnected on our side when we're talking to the customer about what it is they actually need to do. And I think that's really important, more than all technology things and all the rest of it, is align your organization around the customer, put the customer at the center of every time I draw something, it's customer at the center. What are we going to do?
Yeah.
Like, be listening to them. And then I think the second thing with AI is, this is a big journey over the next number of years. It's not going to hit in the next couple of months. Is experiment, find time to play. Like, what works, what doesn't work. I talk about my grads coming in. I just see it as an innovation hub. So your goal is to get every customer to renew at 100% at the end of the year. Off you go. Like, how do you use AI? How do you use technology? How do we scale what you're doing? Create things, A/B testing. If you think of something, give it to 50 customers and not the other 50 customers. Does it make a difference? If it does, cool, let's roll it out to everybody. So creating that room for experimentation, innovation, playing with what you're doing to find the things that work, because some things will work dramatically and some things won't, because the customer will be like, I'm not doing that. I want to talk to somebody. You thought you could automate it, but really you can't, because they're going to ignore you. But you don't know what they are until you've actually gone out there and played with it. And I think they would be the main things for me.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I think the experimentation and the learning and everybody leaning in is important. But I got to say, one of the biggest things I took away is the fact you have a very positive view of AI, much different to many companies and many speakers out there. So I'm grateful for that, and it'll put me in a better frame of mind for the rest of the day. So thank you, Simon. Thank you, Simon, for joining us today and talking about scaling customer success, and specifically what we're doing at ServiceNow. I'm incredibly grateful for your time and all the listeners on this channel. Again, if you have any feedback, you found this useful or didn't, or have more questions, then please reach out to ccoadvisor.com, and hopefully see you in the next episode. So thank you, be safe, and enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you, Simon.
Thank you.